Hello and welcome to a brand new Flirtini with me, Benjamin, the Flirt coach, signing on here at Flirt headquarters. The conversation I have for you today with just me, all about getting over a situation ship. We're going to talk about what these are, maybe some new terminology for the situationship, what is happening in the brain and body, and why do they hurt sometimes so freaking much when they end. Don't go anywhere, y'all. Theme song coming, then we'll get into it.
I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. Hello, my name is Benjamin. I'm the Flirt coach and a gay Libra. Everyone has an inner flirt.
Hey, Flirty.
Live, laugh, flirt.
Work the flirt.
Work the flirt. Delulu is the Salulu. Expert on the flirt.
Hey, Flirty. There's always another flirt.
Everyone has an inner flirt. Get out of your head and into the flirt.
Hello, Flirties. Let's get into it. This conversation all about getting over a situation ship. I thought it would be fun to go over some terminology for what we can call a situationship where we probably understand these relationships, which they are relationships, but they're relatively undefined, or maybe they are defined like someone is calling you their girlfriend, their boyfriend, but then saying something like, oh, we're not dating. Or maybe you call them out and you're like, oh, so having so much fun hanging out, right? Really enjoying our dates. And they're like, no, we're, we're not dating. I never said that. So generally speaking, these are connections that mirror, mimic relationships, aka they are relationships, but one or both people aren't calling them relationships. They are undefined in some way. Okay, so from the comments you all left on one of my videos a little bit ago, one person said, humiliationship was the best description I heard recently. Oh my gosh. My situationship was harder to get over than my ex-husband. Yeah, that one got a lot of likes. Delusionship is here in the comments. We have, this one, very interesting. Phantom dating. This person says situationship. I'm still not rating this explicit. This person says crashing out. This person says deluluship, dating purgatory, directionless orbit. Y'all really came through. I could go on and on. Y'all are really, really creative. Needless to say, we all have some thoughts and feelings about what is the situationship and what do we even call this? So whatever terminology you want to use, let's recognize that these are relationships where some of the characteristics, which I talked about just a few moments ago, they tend to be pretty intense in some way. Maybe they're intense physically. There's a lot of attraction, perhaps some hooking up. Maybe they're really intense when it comes to communication. There's a lot of texting. It could be intense where you're spending a lot of time with one another, like your lives are becoming intertwined pretty quickly. These connections, relationships don't exactly lack vulnerability, but they oftentimes lack vulnerability when it comes to acknowledging what are we? Are we dating? Are we defining things? Are we becoming official? Are we becoming exclusive? Only dating one another, perhaps? Like they're vulnerable about a lot of things, but not exactly about those things. It's very common for the lines to become blurred, where maybe you started out as friends, you were familiar with one another, you became friends along the way. And then when they end, more often than not, there's not exactly closure. Sometimes they just come to an abrupt end with a ghosting, with a breakup. The other person just kind of does the slow ghost where they start to pull away. Maybe they stop communicating. They start coming up with excuses. It's usually not mutual. I mean, of course it can be, but often what I feel like I see is one person is really like still in it, wanting it to work out. So let's talk about for a moment what's happening in the brain and body with these pretty intense connections. And this can happen in dating as well outside of situationships, where this can mirror the addiction cycle. Think about it like a mental or emotional tug of war, where when you're with this person, even if it's over text, FaceTime, you feel good, like you feel secure, you feel like everything is all right, you feel good about yourself. And then all the moments in between, because there's probably some inconsistency, right? There's some hot and cold, mixed signal type of behavior. There's this lack of accountability. Like, what are we doing here? Where are we going? What is this? One person or maybe both of you aren't being fully forthcoming about what it is you're looking for, why you're dating, kind of thing. And so, in those moments when you're not feeling as good, as safe, as grounded in what's going on, now you're forgetting to exhale, right? It's like you're holding your breath. You're feeling that tightness in your chest. Maybe your mind is racing, kind of wandering, going into all the what ifs types of scenarios. And what is the one thing, who is the one person that can make you feel better? Them. It's them. And now we're caught in the dopamine loop, the dopamine cycle. And then when they end, you're just left with this kind of hole, this void, this like almost feeling of withdrawal, like, oh my gosh, what happened? What's wrong? Maybe what did I do? And you just feel like your world's kind of imploding. It really hurts. Like, it can feel, quite honestly, physically painful. So let's go through some of the reasons why they can hurt so much beyond this physiological experience that we can have. There's also this breaking up with this letting go of potential, right? All the things that weren't said, all the feelings that were unexpressed, all the things that could have been, that should have been, right? That would have been if this, if that. We're letting go of so many ifs. We're letting go, having to break up with so much potential. And when the breakup, the end happens just like that, with a ghosting or just an abrupt, like, see you later kind of thing, it's shocking, like, to our nervous systems. If we weren't prepared for that, even if we kind of saw it coming a little bit or felt like something's a little bit off, it still is surprising nonetheless. We may also be breaking up with what once was. Sometimes what can happen in our situationships, our delulu ships, our dating gray areas, we may develop a really strong connection with someone early on and enter into that honeymoon phase of dating and just kind of never want to leave that exactly. Which is like all good. We're allowed to stay there if it's mutual, if both people, right? If it's two people dating one another, want to stay there as well. And something else I feel like we're saying here that I've heard kind of a lot is that sometimes a situationship kind of thing is exactly what we need. Like, maybe we're traveling, or we went back home, or we're somewhere for work for an extended period of time, or maybe we're in a phase of our life where we don't really want the full on relationship, in the sense that we're looking to commit to someone for perhaps that long term investment. And now we're exploring moving in together. Like, are we merging assets? Do we have kids? Do we have pets? Like, how are we going to incorporate our lives into one another? And sometimes you just don't want to do that. And yet you want to be out there dating, have the relationship without perhaps all of that being a part of it as well. So the situationship, again, I say, it's like, if it looks like dating, it talks like dating, it's freaking dating. And even the mutually agreed upon, let's just say, situationship, when it ends, it can still really hurt. All right, now back to a few more reasons why the breakups can hurt so much. It's also, we're breaking up with a little bit of the fantasy of, maybe we really liked how we felt around this person. Maybe they brought us a lot of comfort, a lot of joy, a lot of excitement, a lot of pleasure. And we wonder, will I ever find this again? Maybe this was my only chance. Maybe it's never going to happen for me, kind of thing. And like I was sharing a few moments ago, these connections are, I mean, all dating in a sense is chemically driven. Like, there's a lot of stuff happening in the brain and body. And yet these relationships, the situationships, tend to be a little more chemically driven. And one of the reasons for this is, I mean, let's get into some of the elements of the situationship. We talked about this, right? The strong physical connection, possibly, not necessarily, but possibly there could be a lot of attraction and chemistry there. The frequent communication, like, usually there can be a lot of communication, even if you're not texting like all day every day kind of thing. It's when you get on the phone, you get on a FaceTime, you go on your dates, they're marathons, right? They're just lasting for hours. You're kind of riding this high. And one reason this is happening is because oftentimes there's little to no conflict. There's not exactly disagreements. It's not exactly like you're trying to compromise on things. It's more so you're bonding over what you have in common. We get along. There's some chemistry. Let's just keep going with this. You're in some ways getting the best of a relationship without calling it a relationship, without having those conversations like, so, when are we moving in together? Or maybe you're a single parent, perhaps they are, you both are, like, so, when are we meeting the kids? So when you're not having some of those conversations, there's a greater likelihood that you're not going to be having disagreements or having to compromise or having to figure out some of the more difficult aspects of dating and relationships. You're more so going to be navigating perhaps personality differences, schedule differences, but going back to some of the variables of the situationship, this type of connection in dating, they're a little bit twin flamey. They tend to start out hot and just kind of stay there, right? We're in that honeymoon phase of dating and never really evolve out of that. We have a lot in common. We like the same things. Conversation is great, even when it's a little hot and cold, right? We're in the dopamine loop. We feel good when we're with them, and when we're not with them, it's like, ooh, what's happening? I'm having some thoughts, feelings, and emotions that maybe I should say something, but I'm maybe not going to because I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to ruffle feathers. I don't want to push them away. And along with this, we might be having some thoughts such as, and I came up with some of these y'all done told me. Are they going to regret losing me? What are they doing right now? Have they texted me, right? Let me see. Going back through my messages, perhaps missed calls, DMs. Do they miss me? Was this even real to begin with? Did I even make the right choice? Like, what am I doing here? Maybe I'm second guessing everything. Should I give them another chance? They're telling me all these things, how much they like me, promising me the future, right? Everything is all good. And yet I'm feeling like, I don't know. Why do they not want to be with me? Why don't they just want to commit to me? Will I ever find this again? Will I ever find someone like this again? A connection like this again? All right. So at this point in the conversation, I hope we're grounded in what a situationship is, what some of the characteristics and elements are, what's happening, and why they can hurt so much when they do end, how they might end, and what's happening in our mind throughout all of this. So now let's spend some time on the closure piece of things and how do we get closure? Ultimately, it does come down to, and this is a good old coaching term learned in like day 1 or 2 of coaching school, and that is radical acceptance. We have to accept the outcome for exactly what it is. We have to accept our role in this for exactly what that is and accept them, right? All of their actions and what they did or didn't do for exactly who they are. It's about accepting the result, the outcome. This is what happened. I can't change the past. I may not like the series of events. I may not like the outcome, but I cannot change what happened, nor can I change them, nor can I go back in the past or try and engineer the future to get them to show up in a certain way to change who they are, nor can I change what I did, right? How I showed up. I got to take ownership and accountability for that. Ultimately, I can only take accountability for myself. What role did I play in this? And when we do this, some stuff can happen. We might feel very guilty, even ashamed, maybe embarrassed. We might feel angry. We might feel elated, like, whew, it's over. We might feel anxious. Who knows? All of the above, none of the above, something else. One that I tend to hear a little more often than not is this anger piece, and also related to that, some of this shame, some of this guilt. Like, what was I thinking? Like, how did I allow myself to do this? Like, what? Maybe you know what I'm going to say now. Flirt on. Flirt it out. Okay, flirty. There's always another flirt. You get to feel your full range of emotions without tying these emotions to your identity, to who you are. So now you're internalizing some of this anger, shame, guilt, perhaps sadness, even with the ending of a situationship. Like, oh, it's never going to happen for me. Up, I was right. I'm not good enough. Up, right. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not handsome enough. Up, I am hard to love, right? They're always going to leave for the other person. So I guess this is as good as it gets. I guess this is just what I am going to get out there dating. And to that, I say, no. As difficult as the ending of a situationship can be, when you go through this process of radical acceptance, offering yourself that self-compassion, doing a little bit of healing, right? Taking all the energy that you were putting on someone else, even all the time in between, worrying, overthinking, feeling anxious, like replaying texts, replaying conversations you had. Think about all the time and energy you're now going to have for yourself, for your career, for your education, for your friends, for your family, for your pets, for whoever, right? For whatever. You're now going to have a lot more time and energy, which could be really difficult because perhaps that other person was a very nice, convenient, and attractive distraction for you. And now that distraction is gone. Maybe you're really outsourcing a lot of not exactly your self-worth, but you were looking to them to feel good, right? They were the thing that brought you a lot of joy, happiness, even though there was probably some worry, some anxiety, and uncertainty in all of this as well. Ultimately, what I want to say here is even though it can really hurt, we do have a lot of control over our own experience, even when there's going to be likely a grieving process that happens. And two things here is you don't let go of what you don't want to lose. And as part of this, we have to recognize that that other person, they were willing to let you go. They were willing to lose you. And I know that really hurts and that really sucks, but we don't let go of or lose ourselves in this. This is where we double down on our self-love, our self-compassion, esteem, confidence, worth, all the things. If we need to involve ourselves in a new activity, binge watch, stream a favorite TV show, start getting back in the kitchen, hitting the gym, like doing whatever, picking up that hobby, that book that we just sort of like laid to the side for this whole situationship, possibly, we're going to do that. If we need to find a new distraction, not another person, but a new distraction, we're going to do that. It's about asking ourselves for more, really showing up for ourselves in the best ways we possibly can. Doesn't have to be in every moment, doesn't have to be every day, especially if we're really hurting, if we're feeling heartbroken, if we're feeling anger, if we're grieving, if we're feeling like, oh my God, what just happened? Keep showing up for yourself. And this is a part of the law of attraction and just good old fashioned manifestation, right? You're going to start to build yourself back up. And when you go out there to date again, to flirt again, to swipe again, whatever, you're going to recognize the people that are also showing up for themselves in the same ways versus those who aren't. And you're going to be okay. Florida, you're going to be okay because the flirt coach said so. All right, as we start to conclude this conversation, a few scenarios that may happen if this situationship ends, perhaps not in a ghosting or an abrupt breakup, something like that, and this person is just like, oh, right, let's just be friends kind of thing. You do not have to do that. Or if this is someone that is going to be in your life, or perhaps you started out as friends before, you get to establish some really clear boundaries about what a friendship looks like, because they do not get boyfriend or girlfriend access to you unless they are your boyfriend or girlfriend, right? Unless you are dating. That's a boundary I'm really clear about in my life. What works for you though? If you are connected online on the socials and maybe you've heard of orbiting, so like someone that's watching your stories, they're kind of in your DMs a little bit and your likes, your notifications kind of thing, you don't have to have anyone following you that you don't want to have following you. You can do the remove, you can do the block, or have them follow you as long as you're okay with it. It doesn't give you anxiety. You're not looking at like, oh my God, did they like my post? Oh my God, did they see my story kind of thing? As long as that's not happening, like do what's best for you. I just don't want this person preventing you or blocking you from really going out and flirting with, dating other people. We got to leave the past in the past. One other thing that can happen is if you feel nostalgic, if maybe like you met in a certain place, maybe your hometown, and now you're going back home, or maybe you're going to a place or drive by a place where you had a date or a really like fun, cute memory, or perhaps it's just Sunday and you're getting the Sunday scaries. Maybe you're having some feelings of loneliness and you're really trying to like fight the urge to reach out, to send a text, to send a DM, just like send something like, hey, right, I'm thinking about you, without exactly saying I'm thinking about you kind of thing. I'm not going to tell you don't do it, but also probably don't do it because what purpose would it serve? Why are you opening Pandora's box? Is that the right analogy here? Why are you looking in the past? You're just in your feels. Look forward. Say, universe, thank you for making me who I am. Thank you for giving me the strength that I've got. Thank you for giving me all these amazing flirty skills. And thank you for bestowing upon my future self all of these amazing opportunities and chances and connections that have yet to come. I'm looking at that. All right, that's going to do it for this Flirtini, getting over a situationship. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for being here. Please rate, review, subscribe to the show. Y'all, leave me some love. If you're listening, if you're watching, you can do a comment. You can do a thumbs up on YouTube. You could do a subscribe, leave a rating, Apple, Spotify, or whatever platform you may be listening on. I really appreciate any support you can offer for the show. It helps so much and gives me that extra bit of motivation just to keep doing this. So thank you so much for being here, for your support. All right, that's going to do it for me, Benjamin, the Flirt Coach, and Gay Libra here at Flirt Headquarters Flirty. Happy flirting.